कूजन्तं राम रामेति मधुरं मधुराक्षरम् आरुह्य कविताशाखां वन्दे वाल्मीकि कोकिलम्। रामाय रामभद्राय रामचन्द्राय वेधसे रघुनाथाय नाथाय सीताया पतये नमः। जयत्याश्रितसन्त्रास ध्वान्तविध्वंसनोदयः प्रभावान् सीतया देव्या परमव्योमभास्करः परमव्योमभास्करः।
श्रीमते निगमान्त महादेशिकाय नमः। Rama performed Sharanagati towards the Samudra Raja in order to seek his permission to construct a Setu between Bharatadesham and Lanka Pradesham. 3 days after which the Ocean King did not come, Rama got angry. He said, Chapamanaya Saumitre, Sharan Shashi Vishopaman, Angulyagrena. Like how he said, I will use my nails, he says, Padhyamyantuh Plavangamaha Sagaram Soshayishyami, and dry up the waters. And take a Vanara Sainyam by foot to Lanka Pradesham. That is when Samudra Raja comes and says, Pahimam, Pahimam, Rama Prabho, please forgive me for this delay. Please construct the Setu using the Vanara Sainyam. Use Nada. He has got the aspect of Vishwakarma in him. Neela, he has got the aspect of Agni in him. Use Jambavan as your guide. Let Sugriva supervise. Let Hanuman be the source of motivation. Let all the Vanara Sainyam deploy their full strength in constructing the Setu between Bharatadesham and Lanka. Well, Rama accepted this. He knew roughly that there was a distance of 100 yojanas between Bharatadesham and Lanka. Some research scholars opine that a yojana could be 8 miles in the current day context. Some say it could be much lesser. So this 100 yojanas was the distance. So Rama had to keep in his mind the time taken for construction. Go find, rescue Sita from the clutches of Ravana. So this 100 yojanas, how did he construct? First day, 14 yojanas were constructed. Second day, 20 yojanas were constructed. Third day, 21 yojanas were constructed. Fourth day, 22 yojanas. Fifth day, 23 yojanas. See, the rate of construction is also increasing by the day. When we do these national highways calculation, we'll say, last year we constructed 40 kilometers per day of national highways. This way, we are constructing 50 kilometers. There is an increase. 14, 20, 21, 22, 23. So thereby 100 yojanas were constructed in a span of 5 days. Now these Vanaras were so excited. They have never done one such infrastructure project in their life. So they were all so excited. Now if you see Bharatadesham and Lanka Pradesham, the Setu which is there was usable even during the times of Mahabharata, because in Mahabharata we have Ghatotkacha Vakyam, where Ghatotkacha tells his youngest uncle Sahadeva, we have reached the tip of Bharatadesham. I will use the Setu constructed by Rama to meet my relatives, the Rakshasas in Lanka, and then come. You may head back to Hastinapuram. So after Rama Kalam, even during Mahabharata Kalam, the Setu was operational. Then, even in some of the maps of the 1400 BCE, we have the Setu which is operational. It is said that then tsunamis, cyclones, they destroyed parts of the Setu. So the Setu was also visible to some of the Western research scholars who see from the satellites. So a cross section of the Setu will reveal something very interesting for us. When the Setu was constructed between Bharatadesham and Lanka, that particular stretch, there was already an inflamed oceanic bed, which is called the oceanic ridge. So naturally there was a slight hump there. It was inflamed, the oceanic bed. So the depth required for Rama to fill the rest was very little. So he asked the Vanara Sainyam to get many logs of wood. So the wood was placed above the oceanic ridge. Then large rocks were placed. Between the large rocks, smaller rocks were placed. So if you do a cross section of it, you see those rocks, smaller ones, larger ones, and those woods, logs of wood that have turned into coral reefs and then the oceanic ridge. So it is very similar to the description given in Srimad Ramayana. Now, they threw stones. Now the stones, were they heavy? By Rama's grace, for the Vanara Sainyam, the stones were like cotton balls, it seems. Prabala, Ripu, Kalaha, Kutuka, Chatula, Kapikula, Karatala, Tulita, Trita, Giri, Nikara, Sadhita, Setu, Pathar, Sima, Simantita, Samudra. Now there is something very interesting here. The Vanara Sainyam is the one that constructed. So Nala was the complete architect. So with the grace of Rama, Lakshmana, Hanuman, Sugriva, Nala spearheaded the entire project. So it was also referred to as Nala Setu, Rama Setu, Nala Setu, Just Setu. All this is there. Nevertheless, there is a belief in the folklore and the legend of Bharatadesham that squirrels also volunteered to help this particular Setu. It is not there in Valmiki Ramayanam. Nevertheless, one of the mystic poets, saints, who makes one of the earliest mentions of it is a person called Bhaktangri Renu. In the Tamil language, he is called as Tondaradi Podiyalvar. In one of his works, written 1500 years back in the state of Tamil Nadu, he says, Kurangugal Malayai Nokka Kulitthittam Purandi Todi Tarandanir Adakkalutra Salamila Anilum Polen. I am the squirrel. I am performing service to Rama. Like how those squirrels performed. What did those squirrels do? He gives a detailed description. It seems the Vanaras used to bring those large rocks and small rocks and keep it. See, if you keep large rocks and small rocks, in the middle there will be gap. So what these squirrels used to do is, they used to go jump into the oceanic waters. Their entire body used to get drenched. With the wet body, they used to come and roll on the sand shore of the sea. So the sand used to get attached to their hair. Now they will go between the rocks and they will do this way and that way. So all the sand used to come off their hair and fall between the gaps. So they were doing the masonry work, like how we do cementing today, they were doing that work. And they used to tell the monkeys, it seems, the Vanaras, work fast, you're all very slow. If you go at this pace, how can we do Rama Kainkariya? So the Setu was beautifully constructed. Now, while describing the Setu, the Devas say from the top, the bridge that was constructed between Bharatadesham and Lanka used to look so beautiful. They say, Dashayojana Vistirnam Shatayojana Dadrushurdeva Gandharva Nalasetum Sudushkaram. So the Setu used to look so beautiful. See, when we get into the literature that we have bequeathed from our ancestors in Bharatadesham, I can go on and on. There will be only rigmaroles and passages that I will have to elucidate in detail. There is a beautiful work called as Setu Bandhana Kavyam. This work talks exclusively about how the bridge was constructed between Bharatadesham and Lanka Pradesh. So it runs to over thousands of verses. You will be surprised. This particular poem called Setu Bandhana Kavyam was composed by a poet called Pravarasena. It is largely believed that he belonged to Maharashtra. And this work is in a language called Prakritam. And in Prakrita language, thousands of verses were devoted to describing how the Setu was constructed. And this is dated to 2000 years back. I'm going to read out a few passages from the Prakritam language. Bamaraduniyaniya sannam ganarukha vimukkadina arasaranittam parisuayantam viya padibujjayi jalani hittalanam nalinam. So how the lotus is born in the waters of the pond. So beautifully was this thought of Nala Setu born. So as they started constructing the Setu, at one point in time when it was semi-constructed, it looked like a Trishula. And at one point in time when it was completed, it looked as a bridge that was dividing the oceanic waters, it seems. Arambhante sayalo tihavasimo darutti ammi nallavahe hoi duhaya samatte sochiya anno puno puno visamuddo. This is a Prakritam verse. So I've just recited 2 verses as a sample from this beautiful work called as Setu Bandhana Kavyam by Pravarasena in the language Prakrita. Now, Mahakavi Kalidasa in Raghuvamsham says, when Rama was walking on the Setu and the oceanic waves were lashing on the Setu, the waves used to lash like this. And while Rama was walking, it looked as if Adisesha was holding an umbrella to Rama. So the oceanic waves themselves looked like Adisesha. Sasetum bandhayamasa plavangair lavanambhasi rasatala divor magnam shesham swapnaya sharginaha. Narayana Bhattatri, the poet par excellence of the 16th century, describes the entire incidents in one shloka. Tvam sugrivangadadi prabalakapichamu chakravakranta bhumi chakro vikramya parijaladini shicharendra nuja shriyamanaha tatproktam shatruvartam rahasi nishamayan prarthana prarthayurosha prastagnaye stratejas tadudidhagira labdhavan madhyamargam. Now, as the Setu was beautifully constructed, see, while I'm describing the Setu, I just have one plea to all the Astikas in your life. At least once, Setu Snanam. Go do Sankalpam there. Because when you do that Sankalpam with the priest will tell you the list of the sins that we may have committed in our life. When the list is given, at least 90% we would have committed. All those sins will see a prayashchittam, will see a vimochanam when you do Setu Snanam. This is the belief in Sanatana Dharma. Have the Setu Snanam. That's it. Now, the Vanara Sainyam followed Rama because Setu was constructed. There was no time. Rama began his journey from Bharatadesham to Lanka, taking all the Vanara Sainyam with him. And at one point in time, when the Vanara Sainyam reached the boundary of Lanka, and then surrounded the entire well-guarded city from the top. See, generally Vanaras had yellow complexion. From the top, when Vanaras circled the well-guarded fortress of Lanka, for a moment it looked as if a beautiful line of gold, yellow gold, was drawn around Lanka. Tenotiriya pathalankam rodhayamasa pingalaihi vitiyam hema prakaram kurvadbhiriva vanaraihi. Dvitiyam hema prakaram. Hema is gold. Prakaram, boundary. Hema prakaram, golden boundary. Dvitiyam, it looked as if a second boundary, which means one boundary was there. A second boundary with the yellow-hued Vanaras was added, it seems. That is when Ravana gets really disturbed, because once one Vanara caused immense damage in Lanka. Now so many Vanaras have come. That too with Rama, Lakshmana, Vibhishana, Jambavan, Angada. It was a very formidable army. What will Ravana do? Did he take any action? More in the next episode. Dear Astika reader, I am happy to be authoring a 2-part book on the Ramayana in English. The first part is slated for release in the year 2024. The book aims to recreate and retell the Ramayana of Valmiki, conforming to the ancient commentaries and other allied literature. To receive notifications of the book release, kindly register with www.deshikadaya.org/books. Namaskaram.